Oh, hi there, Sam.
Oh, hi, Josiah. How are you doing?
I didn't see you there.
I'm always taken aback when you start talking professionally first.
I didn't notice you there. I was just here in my workshop, working away.
Why are you in a workshop in this scenario? What?
I don't know. Like what? At the start of an infomercial, when someone says, "Oh, hi there," what else are they doing?
Usually they're whittling. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like I'm whittling.
Do you want to hear a joke, Josiah?
I don't know.
So, I came home today from work and it's been a long. I mean, it's only Wednesday when we're recording this, but it's kind of been a long week, and I'm feeling low energy. And so, wife of the pod, Ashley, is like, "Do you want to hear a joke?" And so I'm now going to tell that joke on our podcast.
All right,
Josiah, what's the bare minimum?
I don't know.
One bear.
Is that really true?
I don't know. Well, you think is a cub less than a bear, but still technically a bear? So would it actually be like
what
one
I want to
cub?
know is like do bears begin at conception?
Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, I mean, I would say just my personal beliefs is that until the bear is out walking around doing bear stuff.
What's your stance on aberration? I feel like we need to delete this entire podcast from the internet every single episode, and we need to do something better with our lives.
I don't know. I'd like just change it into a solely risque bear pun podcast. Like, are you saying a reboot, or do you mean just like a cleansing fire?
I need to I need to start wearing polo shirts and get an office job and stop wasting my life online.
I found that this podcast is more shameful than a lot of the things that I've done, like around my coworkers, around my family. I feel like maybe this has come up, but in particular, we're talking a lot about podcasts at work these days. We work in media, and it's a hot medium, and everyone.
Would you say it's a hot topic?
I would, in fact, say that that's a great use of that. Is that a double entendre? Do double entendres have to be sexual?
Why do you always say double entendre instead of double?
To me, it's the same as fugazi. It's just one of those things that you start saying. Yeah, Delange is actually my broken brain.
Right.
I'm not trying to be funny with that one. I just don't know how to pronounce his last name.
So because I've only been half listening, I understand that you work at Hot Topic.
Yeah. And for some reason, I'm embarrassed to talk about this podcast at Hot Topic, which you'd think is absolutely not the case. But
is that where I should go, canvassing to get more listeners?
Maybe, because we've been trying to figure out what do we need to do. You have been tweeting back and forth a lot with an AV Club contributor who has a great podcast called Classroom Crush that I was listening to earlier today. About how she needs to use her last few columns to get Blink-155 on. Yeah,
she's like the one podcast writer who acknowledges that we exist, and she just recently quit the AV Club.
Yeah, so we're SOL there. So yeah, I think that you need to hit whatever.
I should just go hang out at the mall and confront young children.
I would say
while they're trying on clothes.
Okay,
and say, "Hey kids, do you want to?" I'll say, Dude Ranches come.
Dude Ranches come, and don't be.
No way! It's way too early. There's a thing I wanted to say.
Okay, sorry. I
wanted to talk. One thing I guess I could do a little segue into what I was going to say. One way we might consider getting the word out is we have talked about we might make some merch for the show.
Yeah.
That's just a little thing. We shouldn't talk about it yet because we haven't really decided on anything yet. But the reason I was thinking of that is because there's been a lot of T-shirt related Blink-182 things in the last couple of weeks that I wanted to mention quickly off the top.
Have there been?
So the first one, and luckily we've fixed our technical errors so I can send you this.
Okay.
So Blink-182, I don't know if you saw this. They played at Steve Aoki's birthday party in his house last week.
I did not see that, but like, how successful does this podcast have to be before we get invited to parties like that?
I know. They just like set up this like weird little acoustic setup in the middle of his living room, and it's funny because they didn't even clean up the coffee table. Like there's shit all over the coffee table, like books or something, or I don't know if that's a Kleenex box or what. But
hold on, you don't know the difference between books and a Kleenex box? Like, I know you've only ever read the Travis Barker biography.
Yeah. I've used them both equally for capturing ejaculate when I'm. I'm sorry, I have cum on the brain because I just talked to our guest this week, but we'll get to that later. But so they performed in the middle of this again. Like when you're like a rich punk guy who gets famous, it's hilarious what your inner decor looks like. Like this looks like the Gilmore's house, like the grandparents' house on Gilmore Girls.
I feel like some people don't know how to be rich.
Yeah, and that's a perfect thing. That's why I'm bringing this up. So they performed What's My Age Again, and they changed it to Nobody Likes It When You're 40, Steve. And there's a video on TMZ where you can hear a delightful little light chuckle when they make that little joke.
That's it? It's only a light chuckle? That's all they got?
Just a little.
Okay.
But I want to talk about, and you've talked about this before, like you wear black metal shirts to try to in the past to sort of, when you felt like you were selling out, you wanted to like grasp at this cred.
Yeah. And
that was essentially what you said.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
I think
it's just harsher when someone says it back to you like that. You're like, really I know it's okay for me to say it, but for you to say it is awful.
I honestly think that everybody on earth does that. That they want to, whether it's like something that overt, you pick your T-shirt when you're going somewhere.
Yeah.
Very intentionally, maybe to subvert something or communicate a message that you get it or something.
Totally.
But I want to talk about. So you're saying it's hard to be rich in a good way. I just want to talk about what Matt Skiba wore to this event.
Okay.
He wore army pants with a clashing lime green fire hose shirt, like the Mike Watt band that no one has ever listened to.
Oh, okay.
And then this like gaudy silk scarf.
Just to be clear,
it's a nightmarish outfit.
So I don't know if you realize this, but I mean, your boss, Ian Danzig, publisher of Exclaim magazine, has probably seen Firehose 1,000 times. They are his favorite band. So not only does someone
I thought his favorite band was Sparks.
No, I mean, he's kidding about the Sparks thing. It's mostly anything Watt related. Okay, this is his second favorite band.
Okay, fine. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase this. Mike Watt, sure. Everyone loves Mike Watt. He's a wonderful man. I've never heard Firehose. I did not know anyone cared about Firehose, let alone enough to wear this gaudy, clashing outfit.
It's loud. It's really loud.
And it just looks like this is the aging punk equivalent of like a gaudy rich lady that you see at like a Fairmont hotel somewhere.
Why are you being so mean to Matt Skiba?
I just like, are you okay with this outfit?
No, he looks if he was just wearing normal pants, but it's the scarf and it's a lot. It's a lot.
But I also think that this is like a look at me sort of I know what I'm talking about kind of reference shirt. Is it not? Don't you think? Don't you think it's a bit much?
You know what? I like Fire. I'm gonna back Skiba on this. I think Firehose was a sick band, sort of, and I bet he liked them because Danzig liked them. And
well, there is one more case. Sorry, I know you have to go somewhere soon, but there's this in my mind. This is like a
I want to make this really clear. I know you have to go somewhere soon. I told you I have to leave in an hour. Right,
that's soon. You haven't seen how deep I've gone on this song that you've already. Okay, just let me finish this. I've been thinking about this all week. Okay. Had a lot of time to think about this. To me, this is the rich punk fashion don't. Okay. The rich punk fashion don't is you don't wear like a gaudy silk scarf and clash lime green with army pants at Steve Aoki's 40th birthday party.
Yeah, that's
what
fine.
Looks like a haunted library or whatever the fuck this is.
It's definitely a Disney haunted house for sure.
But so our PVR, like we have cable because we're old, and we still have cable. Our PVR was getting full, and my wife used to watch the Kardashians like 2 years ago, mostly to see the awkward Kanye stuff. Like she doesn't, I don't know. She's not like a deep Kardashian head.
You don't have to defend it, man. I'd like.
No, I'm just.
Some of my best friends
I
love the Kardashians.
I want to represent her correctly because
Okay.
we're both very open about the bad pop culture that we like, but she's just a casual Kardashian fan. So she stopped taping it the week after she stopped taping it. So like last week I think last Sunday. I can't remember. The timeline's all confused, but a very recent episode, Travis Barker showed up and they made gingerbread houses together.
What?
Yeah, he was like on like the holiday episode of the Kardashians.
That's awesome.
And he made a gingerbread house, and to prove his punk cred, he did a little icing anarchy symbol. He made a gingerbread punk house.
Oh yeah, there's like people squatting in the basement and 20 fucking dogs.
But see, I always thought that the lamest version of showing off your punk cred was the Black Flag shirt, and he was wearing a Black Flag shirt on this episode. But then I talked to friend of the pod, Marsden, who is like a big time like merch head, hardcore nerd. And he told me that the Black Flag shirt that Travis Barker wore was most likely an original, and it's very rare and nerdy. And I guess Marsden is Instagram friends with this guy, Matt Sloan, who like deals vintage hardcore merch.
Yeah.
And he hand delivered multiple Black Flag shirts to Travis Barker backstage at Blink. So I just wanted to say, I think that's like the way to do it. If you're going to be a rich punk guy, just like buy sick, like out of print ancient merch and then put an anarchy symbol on your gingerbread punk house on Keeping Up with the Kardashians Christmas special.
Did you ever see that episode of, I think, Laguna Beach or The Hills, one of those shows, that Alkaline Trio was on? This might have escaped your reach because you're not an A3 boy.
And also because that, like, especially if it was Laguna Beach, that was the dark period where I was too cool for things.
Tough.
Yeah. So, I mean, I saw Gian on The Hills, was it? Or...
Gian Gomeshi was on The Hills?
Yeah, like he was on it with that girl Lights. They had a little... I saw that, but I didn't see... no, I didn't know they were on it. That's pretty awesome.
Just want to make this clear that Blink-155 condemns Gian Gomeshi in all of his forms. Even before he was like totally a creep. Just the fucking the rhyming
I
and
gotta
stuff.
say, I've always known that he was bad. Like I've gotten in fights with him on Twitter prior to him being a bad man. I just like my sensor went off. I knew.
Yeah. Well, you know what the thing is, Josiah?
Oh boy. Yeah. Okay.
You're not a Lemmings. So in the break that I just edited out, Josiah and I just cursed this podcast by complimenting each other on how good last week's was and trying to figure out what was so special about it.
And so now let's just do a really low energy.
Yeah. Yeah, and that we're both feeling really lethargic today.
Yeah.
So it's actually a good thing that we're talking about a song that I would say, for sure, top 5 Blink-182 songs. Gotta be.
Okay, first of all, I watch SNL every week because I literally hate myself and I don't allow myself to enjoy good things. But I watch it every week, and I've noticed that whenever there's someone really funny on the show, they don't try and they don't write, and it's not good. And then whenever there's like a sports person, the episode is always really funny. And I have a fear that with this podcast, when there's a good song, the episodes might not be as strong because I don't know. That's my fear. That's the curse that I'm afraid of.
Wow. Okay. You're
like the Tiffany Haddish episode of SNL was terrible, and she's like the best celeb out there.
She's a good celeb. I'll be honest. I was not familiar with her because I haven't seen the movie that's so good that I know you tweet about all the time. And I thought,
why
she was
haven't
funny.
you seen it, Sam? Why haven't you seen it?
I'm busy and important. So welcome
it's
to
not your kind of culture, or
It's
not really into that sort of.
So this
have you seen Get Out? Or?
No, I have seen Get Out. I loved Get Out. Listen, I'm in a room right now with a "Do the Right Thing" poster up behind me. Like
that's too far. That's like too far. Course correction. You're hiding something.
Yeah. There's got to be some rule about not trusting white people who do the right thing posters up in their rooms past like film school, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So this song rips. I was stoked when you said that we should do it, and being that you picked it, and this is often the structure of the podcast, Josiah, why'd you pick Lemmings by Blink-182 on the internet's #1 race relations, Kimya Dawson, SNL recap podcast?
Well, first I want to say I think I've always understood this, but I am really beginning to understand the feeling that everything's a top 5. Like every time we talk about a specific Blink album, I'm like, oh yeah, this is my favorite Blink album. And this week again, I'm like, oh yeah, Dude Ranch is definitely the best one, but I'm sure my mind will change. Like it's just, there's something about the way that they've written songs where just everything feels like your favorite while it's on.
Yeah, it's kind of unbelievable. Like this is such a late album track, and I listened to it, and it doesn't sound dated to me. It reminds me how this record is so good top to bottom, because this is like the second last song, maybe?
I don't even remember, but yeah, that is why I picked it, because it's like a sort of more deep cut, but then when you put it on, you're like, holy shit, this is so good.
Yeah. So you're right. When we like the song, this podcast is much, much worse.
Yeah, because we'll just be like, yeah, it's good. All right, see ya.
So sick. So here's our guest to talk about Come.
Yeah.
In that sense, at least there's some consistency between last week's and this week. So
the other reason I picked it is that there's a lot of like things that I've been finding on YouTube from this era that I want to talk about before I lose them, and I just like wanted to. I felt like we needed to revisit Dude Ranch, and this is like another one of those songs, like many that we've done so far, where you're just like, when you hear it, you're like, oh yeah, this is one of the hits, but then you just forget about it.
Yeah, it's funny. Like listening to the song before we recorded was a reminder for me that like Dude Ranch is the best Blink album. Even though sometimes it's like, oh, okay, Self-Entitled is got all this interesting stuff, and it's like maybe them at the kind of peak of their powers. But there's something with the way this record sounds where it's not like the full kind of like very dated or like lo-fi kind of skate punk sound from the 90s that you hear on like Buddha or whatever, like
Cheshy
where we've said this before on the pod. I don't fault people who got into Blink who are 10 years younger than us, like just not being able to listen to those albums because they just sound like kind of shitty, right? But
yeah.
This is like that weird. It's like this perfect moment where they had enough money to make an album that kind of sounds big, but not so much money and so much time in the studio to take down all of the edges. So like the guitars sound like big, and this is awful, like fat. They do, like especially at the beginning of the song, like the chords are so big, but like there's the harmonies, but they kind of taper off weirdly at the end. It's like almost like there's like I don't even know if they would have had pitch correction at this point, like in terms of how you would record this album. And so it just sounds like a band with sort of all of this access to, the tools to make an expensive sounding album, but maybe not like enough time to take advantage of all of those things. And so the result is like big sounding, but still like you can see the lines. And I just like,
it's totally true.
Yeah.
And I think possibly, maybe I'm wrong, but I think the albums before this and after this are this is the Venn diagram. And this is, I feel like, what they're trying to recapture with all of them. Like this is the goal. This is the goal. This is the quintessential Blink album. I think.
And I also think like, we've talked a lot about perfect Mark songs. Like Online Songs is a great Mark song, but Online Songs doesn't sound anything like this really. This sounds a lot like other Mark pieces on this album though. So the outro sounds a lot like the outro from Apple Shampoo. Like that just like driving, like going up and up and up until it reaches this sort of like emotional and melodic kind of peak.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, like talking about perfect Mark songs, like, and I obviously love to make fun of Mark all the time, but when I put this one on and started reading the lyrics, like this is an amazing song. Like the lyrics are so evocative. It's like a gut punch for me of nostalgia, and like just like the details are so good. Like words on the back of flyers, my clothes are in the dryer. Like what kid who is suburban going to all ages shows could not relate to that? Like putting your friend's phone number on the back of a handbill or something. Ugh, it's so good.
And this is, again, it kind of comes back to this kind of nostalgia thing where the things you remember from high school, aren't always as cool as you thought. And often songs like in sort of the punk realm, in like for me, the punk and emo realm, if they're political, they're ham-handed. And if they're emotional, they are often like really adolescent in a way that can be difficult to relate to as a 30-year-old. And then this like already sounds nostalgic in the way that it kind of captures the spirit of like a moment in punk friendship time. Like will never feel dated in a way that, and I always joke about this, but like going away to college, like just makes me, I like it melodically, but when I listen to it, it makes me, just feel weird.
Yeah. I mean, this is really like, and also there's just so many words packed in, but it's not like Reebok commercial where it sounds like he's tripping over the sentences. Like every line seems to have a specific reference that feels like it's coming from a real place.
Except
it's all packed in.
Except.
All right.
But like, if a reference like you again, like that, rewrite it. I like the sentiment. I love the sentiment, but it's too many syllables, bro. That's it. Otherwise, I agree with you. But that part is...
I think it's fine if that happens every once in a while, as long as like not the whole song is like that. Personally, I think it's okay for one or two. But even just like Prime Select and a box of Glaze, like I don't even know. I don't think he's talking about Amazon Prime at that point. Maybe he is.
Got to get that Transparent Season 4, man. Get Prime Video with that. It's great.
Yeah. Well, I did release a transparent meme on our socials today, which was very ill-timed because Jeffrey Tambor is a bad man. But we are willing to face all the bad men. We've been talking about Jian Ghomeshi for this entire podcast.
Mm-hmm. We're like the John Olivers of two John Olivers speaking truth to power. Like we've been dancing around this because we've said you talked a lot about Come with the guest of the pod, but we didn't say their name. But of course, it's Dustin Hoffman, and we're going to be confronting him.
We're talking about Come. Dustin Hoffman talking about Come.
Yeah. So look forward to that.
We decided to save that for the end, even though it's the most newsworthy thing. And also like what's that guy's name that you just said? I'm so tired.
John Oliver? Yeah.
Like him, I also think it's hilarious and so like just speaking truth to power to say the word drumpf.
Look I feel like we've been talking a lot about the song, and so I'm actually wary to do this, but like I know that you hate the drumpf thing, but this is a real...
No, I don't. I love it.
Okay.
And Kafifi.
Sure.
And Kafifi.
Okay, I think you have to at least admit that it's a little bit of a it's not the band I hate, it's their fans situation. Right?
Yeah, honestly, like he's always like that because whenever I've watched the show, I'm like, oh, this is actually really good and thought provoking. But then like the next day, like some fucking insurance broker uncle that I have on Facebook or something will be like, oh, he eviscerated the establishment or whatever, and it's like, ugh, so annoying. Shut up.
Yeah, that's fine, but I just think, let's give the man some credit. Like even the drum segment is funny. It's just unfortunate that
I'm not going to watch. But I also think that logic. It's not the band I hate. It's their fans. Like the fans. The band still created those fans, and if you give the band a pass for that, then you're just going to become one of those fans eventually.
God, wouldn't it be terrible to like something, Josiah?
Hey, I'm in the middle of like being all emo about how these lyrics made a tear come to my eye.
That's true. What was the most memorable show from your childhood? When you hear this song, Josiah, what's like the show that comes to mind?
Well, just like there's a million. It reminds me of just going to Sealand Hall with my friends and like the various times of just being like a depressed teen, feeling like I didn't fit in at high school, and then just going to Sealand Hall and like, oh, it's so real.
What was Sealand Hall like? Who?
Sealand Hall is like that's in North Vancouver. It was like so far away from Abbotsford. Like I would say probably a 90-minute drive.
Oh shit! And would you drive there yourself, or would like you and your friends drive there?
Like me and my friends would all like road trip there, and it was. All the dudes from DBS pretty much ran that place, but there was like Vancouver hardcore was all centered around there, and like Red Light Sting would always play there, and the Blood Brothers played there one time, and I don't know, like all those like 2000s era shows are like, that's just, it's one of those things where it's like New Year's Eve is coming up, and every year I think about one year on New Year's Eve in Vancouver. I think it was like 2003 or 4. There was these 3 houses downtown that all the bands lived in, and they had a triple threat house party, and my old like screamo post-hardcore terrible embarrassing band The Hand played in one of the houses, and then 2 other bands played, but like literally every single person in Vancouver was there, and it looked like that movie Project X, like one of those like house party movies that get out of hand. And it was just like everyone in Vancouver talks about it, and every year when New Year's Eve rolls around, I'm like, that will never be topped in my whole life. Like I don't even need to celebrate New Year's Eve anymore.
The Hand,
like, so good.
The Hand is such a screamo ass band name.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you?
I think
sing?
I put it on. I screamed. Yeah. There's like a.
But did you like scream, or did you do the like, bleh, you know?
Oh yeah, no. It was like I wanted to be more like the Locust.
Oh,
but
tight.
So it was supposed to be like that, but it mostly sounded like Under Oath, like kind of both. There's a video of us playing in a church basement that's on my personal Instagram if people want to dig.
Oh,
but anyways, I don't know. I feel bad. Like I'm trying to rush through this, but I don't know. Like, what about you?
Don't rush through this, man. You know, this is important.
Yeah, well, especially like lyrics like laughing at the bands we hate, all the spots we used to skate. Like I didn't skate, but definitely like as much as going to shows was a big part of my life, so was like shit talking the whole time and just like this us versus them feeling of being a teen.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think like you absorbed skate culture even if you weren't actively skating. Like I tried to skate, and I mean, I'm insanely not athletic. I mean, truly like astonishingly lacking in terms of like hand-eye coordination and just general physical ability. So like I had a Nash with plastic trucks, and I would try to learn how to ollie like in my garage at night. And
yeah, I used to try on the carpet.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I just couldn't do it, but I had big ass skate shoes, and I still like read, you know, skateboard magazines, and I still watched, you know, Yeah Right, and would, you know, argue with someone today that that's the greatest skate video ever made, even though I haven't watched a skateboarding video in 20 years.
Right.
But yeah, I still think it's important to have an opinion, you know?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think like just like little details like that are just like such a gut punch, and they make me feel all emo. But there's also, I just love the specificity of the line, elbow drop Sundays when Mark Eaton got beat to shit. It's like, I don't know what that means, but I love it because it's a real story.
Well, and it's funny because Blink has definitely gone back to this well. I mean, Rock Show is a song about hanging out behind the club at the weekend. And it's so funny how this is not an uncommon sentiment in punk bands to like write about like your younger punker days, but they have never had any success, unless I'm totally forgetting another song like this, kind of returning to this well. Like Rock Show is one of the worst Blink songs. It's just like it's the soulless version of this. It's like the full on, just like it means nothing, that right. Song and the sentiment there, like it just feels so empty and purposefully just sort of like generalized. Whereas like this song, because of the specificity of it, feels really relatable, because they're like, exactly. Yeah, okay, the Flyers thing I get, and I get this, and like, you know, and I don't know about Elbow Drop Sundays and Mark Eaton, but like you had the same kind of like weird in jokes in, you know, your friends in your scene. Exactly.
But I did, because I'm losing my mind and someone needs to stop me, I did spend a long time trying to figure out the Mark Eaton thing.
Oh, and did you figure it out?
Well,
do you have a theory?
About half a decade ago, Tom invented this, like a lot of us, including me, forget that Tom has been an insane entrepreneur long before he started his space research cult.
Well,
he's been doing all kinds of shit for a long time.
If you listen to that Joe Rogan interview, which like I believe you did, he talks about how To the Stars actually came from like just a pool of companies that he was invested in, like that he took his Blink money, and rather than spending it all on vintage Fire Hose and Black Flag T-shirts, he bought a company to help him explore space and time.
Right. But like even prior to that, in 2007, he started something called Mod Life.
Oh yeah, what was that?
I don't really totally get it, and I
Wasn't
didn't
it
read
about like
too much about
avatars
it.
and stuff? Am I?
I feel like that might be Second Life that you're thinking of too.
Yeah, you're right.
And also, isn't Mod Robes like a funny clothing raver kind of thing?
Yeah, they were
it's
huge
just like not,
in Toronto.
Mod Life is not a good name because it's just like it reminds us of too many things. But it was, I think, some sort of content thing. And it was like a way that artists could cut out the middleman and directly release their like MP3s to people, or just like release exclusive content. Like,
well, it's so funny.
Buddy,
this is like proto Patreon shit. Yeah.
His When You Killed Hitler buddies in Pearl Jam, they were on it, and like I don't know, a bunch of Korn was on it. Third Man Records did some shit on it. So it was like some sort of like content thing.
Well, yeah,
but anyways,
rewarding fans with special products and experiences, including high level of interactivity between artists and fans. So, I mean, really doing Patreon where you're like, for $5, we'll do a Google Hangout every month.
Exactly. So unfortunately there was a Mod Life. That's what it's called. Not Mod Robes. I honestly cannot remember the name. Yeah. Mod Life. There was a Mod Life podcast where Mark Eaton explained what this lyric meant.
Oh.
And it's scrubbed from it's gone from the internet. It's no longer there.
However, heartbreaking was that for you when you got that close to the...
Well, I've kept going. I kept going. Mark Eaton is still a serious part of Tom DeLonge's life, which is kind of cool, actually.
Did you add him on like Facebook or something?
Well, I'll get there.
God.
I'm going to get arrested for stalking because of this podcast.
Yeah.
He like has directed all of the Angels and Airwaves. Like there's like Angels and Airwaves movies and shit that we have to talk about one day as a Scoozy, I'm sure. He directed all that. He's directed like every Angels and Airwaves video. He directed all those music videos for Tom's solo album and all this stuff. So like he's still part of their life. And that's also what makes it cool is like he's a real dude who's been friends with them since whatever era Lemmings was written about. But I did find him on Facebook, I think.
Oh my God.
I found a man named Mark Eaton from Poway, California, and he's wearing a Minor Threat hat in his profile pic.
Yes. The things I love about that, the thing rather that I love about that is Minor Threat didn't make hats. You know?
Yeah.
Like, you can't pretend. It's not like the Black Flag thing, you know, where there's a lot of Black Flag shirts in the world. There were never Minor Threat hats, my dude.
Yeah. It's like I think it's like a snapback.
Yeah, it's like a real, like, this is not a Minor Threat hat.
Well, the cool thing is in Calgary, there's a Spencer Gifts hidden away at a faraway mall. And they have, like, weird, like, 90s replica merch that I don't think anyone knows about. And I was kind of like, damn, I should come back here next time I get paid. This is the sort of things I do with my life.
Yeah, why were you at Spencer's Gifts to begin with, if not to buy all this swaggy 90s merch?
Well, I was just, like, killing time in the mall, but I didn't really have a lot of money, so...
So you just went to a place where you were not going to buy anything.
I was just coveting the merch.
Okay. So did you add Mark Eaton? Sorry.
I've added Mark Eaton. I've messaged him for clarification.
Yeah.
If this happens, I guess maybe we'll do like an exclusive interview with him or something. Because obviously we're not going to revisit this song, but there's lots to talk about because he works with Tom constantly. So I don't know, but it's like it's a real missed thing because I couldn't find that fucking Mod Life pod.
Dude, that's heartbreaking. But I mean, ultimately, if you had found it, would you have added him on Facebook and would we maybe be friends with him, you know, in the not so distant future?
Exactly. That's really, thank you for showing me the silver lining.
Dude, it's all silver, man. It's not a lining. It's like it's a cloud made of silver dropping from the sky and killing you. In the form of you being arrested for stalking this man.
So I assume you didn't really like Google this song very much.
No,
I'm not being mean. I'm just guessing.
Wow, yeah, that was so. I guess it's safe for me to assume that you did no prep, Sam. Yeah, I just like being surprised now. To me, this is just like a little chat.
It is kind of nice. It's kind of nice.
I mean, one day you'll get sick of actually doing all the work, and
I hope so. I'm getting worried about myself because this one I went really deep.
Okay.
But this song was released like as a split 7-inch with a different band before it was on Dude Ranch. Like this previously was an older song, and I just sent you the cover art. It's like very, very cool looking.
That's awesome. Who is it a split with?
Well, first of all, I just want to say this cover is like, it looks like a cover of National Geographic, kind of, and at the bottom in the National Geographic font, it says National Gynecology Society. They're so dumb. I love it.
Yeah, that's sick.
So it was on a split with a band called Swindle. And it's cool. Again, it's like interesting that they've done records with these bands that like do nothing after.
Yeah. Can you imagine though if like your band did a split with Blink-182? Like definitely the members of Swindle. Like this comes up within 120 seconds of meeting them. Like
Yeah.
Like because I'm not blaming anybody for reacting in a stoked manner.
Yeah, exactly. Well, first I want to point out what Swindle actually sounds like, because it really contextualizes this era of Blink in a like very skate punk era.
Okay, sick.
So here's a little bit of Swindle.
You're only just controlling the way things used to be. The world around you is not passing out before your eyes. You don't know where you're going, but you don't give a shit. Why don't you take control of time and stand on your side? Life is going forward and you're looking back.
Yeah.
It's like so weird.
I mean, it's just Punkorama era. Like, I can imagine having that on in the background of like a Tony Hawk session, not thinking twice about it.
Oh, totally. So, I mean, there's that, and then I looked up this split on Discogs, and I was clicking through the members, and the band. Do you remember the band Some Girls? That was like Wes Eishold from American Nightmare and people from The Locust.
Yeah,
the guy from Swindle designed the cover art for like the Some Girls compilation on Death Wish Records.
What the fuck, dude? Like. You're spending too much time on this podcast.
I guess. Like, I love these like weird, I don't know. There was like this blog called Hardcore and Non-Hardcore Places. And it's just, there's something really satisfying about making connections to hardcore that you maybe wouldn't expect.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it also sort of speaks to this idea that I've heard, Damien Abraham talk about before, which is that everyone interesting was at some point involved in punk. Like that, there's a world approach, a world view that sort of comes from being a punk at some point in your life, and that even like it was like Lil Wayne was into hardcore, and it kind of just makes sense that like I don't know, someone from one of those bands would have gone on to do some cool continuing hardcore shit.
I definitely think that that's true. I think that like whenever you meet people in music who seem a little bit entitled or like that everyone owes them something or they just are kind of whiny, and then you like go sort of look at their musical history or look up their old bands, like they generally seem to be the kind of people who don't have any background of punk and hardcore.
Totally.
Whereas people who are like grow up in punk and hardcore are just like not babies. Well, they are, but in a different way.
Yeah, it's a different, sometimes worse form of being a baby.
Which is actually a good segue to this other thing I've wanted to show you for a long time.
For a long time?
Because it just popped up. I don't understand how this works, but there's like this is probably the coolest looking Blink-182 video I've ever found. I think I don't know what full screen was, but my guess is that it was like a VHS interview compilation, but it was put out by Victory Records.
What did Blink ever do anything on Victory Records?
They definitely didn't. However, like Cargo Records and Grilled Cheese Records, which I think became Cargo or is like related to it, they've worked with some like mid-90s quote unquote hardcore bands. I think it was like they toured with 7 Seconds around this time. So I think they were in that world.
Right, okay.
And then I'm guessing Victory Records, I've never found anything else about this video, but I think they did like a VHS interview compilation or something.
Sick.
But I love this video because Mark is wearing the coolest ringer tee for a band called Squirt Gun, and he's smoking cigs the whole time. Like, Sig era Mark is so cool.
I didn't know that Mark had a Sig era.
Yeah, like, he definitely had a hella Sig era. I think he was the coolest when he smoked, because really all of us are.
Yeah.
And I think, like, cigarettes are genuinely very cool, but most of us just aren't like strong enough for them. So we shouldn't do it. But they are cool. Like cigarettes are great.
Were you cooler when you smoked?
Oh, I think definitely.
It's tough.
I mean, look what I do now. I just research Lemmings.
It's true. You should for sure start smoking and drinking again.
I know, exactly. Then I'll stop. Although this is paying off in its own way.
It's true.
Giving me a different kind of hangover.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And we made minus, Libsyn fees, because I believe in sort of radical transparency in media, I think like $180 this year. So each of us...
this year?
Yeah. So,
oh my god!
So for 22,
that's really good.
For 22 episodes of Blink 155, we've each made $90, which I guess if you
I'm going to Spencer's Gifts, baby.
Yeah. So hold on. I don't know what that is. I don't know how to do division. It's not that. Okay. So that's actually $4 per episode. So yeah, we should decide what we're going to do with our money, because I just feel like just putting $90 into my bank account is like a boring thing to do.
Yeah, like for you, that's just like a drop in a bucket.
I won't even notice it, So
for me and my family, we'll be able to eat.
Yeah, that's sick. But
I want to just play a little bit of this Victory Records thing, just because it's cool to hear them talk. And they talk about. Actually, sorry, I'm going to find a different time code because of what we're talking about. They talk about like being accused of selling out and stuff, because this is right before Dude Ranch came out. So
okay, cool.
I don't think along the lines a lot of people do that if you go to a major label then you're a sellout or whatever, as long as you stay true to your style of music and you don't get a big head about it and you still try and be in touch with your fans and just do the same thing that you've always been doing.
Yeah, as for us, it's not like we like to go here, we like to go there. I mean, we like what's best for our band, and if that means that we need a better distribution deal, what we want is for our albums to be able to be everywhere, and for our label to have the capacity to go as big as we have the potential to. And we don't want to be held back by any obstacles, and if one of those is being on a small label, that'll hurt us. So if that means that we have to go to a major...
One of the important things about major labels also is who has control of the band. A lot of bands will sign to a major label and they give up all their control to some A&R person or something like that, and other bands do it right, and if they sign to a major label, then they keep all their artistic control, they keep the choice of what the singles are going to be, if there are any singles, whether or not videos go to MTV, things like that. You don't want to give up when you go to a major label.
A lot of things, one of the main things you don't want to lose as well is your virginity.
I love that he's the same guy. Like that Joe Rogan interview, he's talking about, space and time, and then he immediately starts talking about his dick. There's a consistency to him that I respect so profoundly.
It's very respectable, yeah. I did notice Mark coughed, which I guess is the downside of smoking. But like I said, it's cool to smoke.
Yeah. This is a pro-smoking podcast. I wonder if because there aren't as many rules about advertising on podcasts, can cigarette companies, I don't smoke, but I would, if I could double the amount of money that I make next year, we each make $180. Like all we need is...
I think I need to clarify my stance, because I think I just in real time figured out my personal stance
on,
which is that straight edge is the coolest, but if you're not going to be straight edge, then smoking is the second coolest.
Okay, yeah. That's good.
That's what I think.
Those are your only options, and I think that's good. It's good to clarify your position. You don't want to feel misrepresented. So, yeah, if I don't know who like Benson and Hedges or Camel.
American Spirit.
American Spirit's cool.
They probably would want to get some pod action.
Yeah. So, hit us up. If you're a tobacco executive, if you're swine, get at us.
If you're a lobbyist.
Yeah. If you're a demon creature currently using your precious... Yeah, go ahead. That's nothing.
Yeah, this is... Also, that video, I just think it's like... At least they've been very transparent about sort of wanting to sell out or whatever. Like, they don't really give a fuck. And that is sort of what this song is about, which is that it's about, and Mark doesn't say who, but someone from the scene just wanted them to follow the rules of what it is to be a punk. And that's why it's called Lemmings, because it's just like blindly following the idea of being a punk. But instead, they've always been like, well, we're going to do it our own way and become fucking massive.
See, I thought maybe it was about the old PC game, Lemmings, the puzzle game.
I love that game, and I was hoping that. I mean, guaranteed, because you'll notice that people don't like in the '90s. People use the phrase "lemmings" a lot. There's also a pop punk song by the Calgary band Belvedere, a skate punk band called Lemmings. I think "lemmings" was used in pop culture a lot, and it's because we were all trying to fucking build that bridge over the lava and not perish. Like, people don't play Lemmings anymore, so they no longer use this metaphor.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, is that I always thought that it was a function of just losing the sort of anti-commercial preciousness of the 90s, which is sort of well-worn territory for us by now. But maybe you're right. Maybe it's just a lack of popularity of that cute little puzzle game.
Could be.
Yeah.
But so, and like they wanted to sell it all along. They've had this plan, and Tom, even when he talks, you're right. Not only does the dick joke sound like now, but the sort of having control of your product and getting to as many places as possible. Like they've always had like big plans for world domination, it seems.
Well, it's funny. It doesn't sound like, maybe it's because I'm a huge sellout, but like it doesn't sound like bullshit sellout talk to me. It sounds like, I don't know, surprisingly nuanced take on you know, your business, which is your band, you know, just to say like, I want as many people to hear it as possible. It's kind of an honest answer.
It's really funny because I think anyone who was involved in this kind of pop punk in the 90s was like pretty much destined to become very rich.
Yeah.
Like Fat Mike has never sold to a major label, but he's like extremely wealthy. Like he could like go on vacation with someone from Blink-182 and it wouldn't be awkward about who's going to pick up the tab or whatever.
That's a great measuring stick. It's like,
yeah, like,
can I go out with this person and not secretly be like, you're not going to make me fucking pay for dinner, are you? Come on.
Exactly. Like, yeah, I'll tell the whole story some other time, but basically one time, as you know, as everyone knows who knows me, one time Colin Hanks came over to our house because he wanted to watch True Detective. He didn't want to pirate it because he's like such a good guy. He doesn't want to pirate things. He wanted to watch the finale, and he tweeted it out, and he was like, does anyone in Calgary, because he was here to film Fargo, he's like, does anyone in Calgary have somewhere they can watch True Detective? And my wife responded, and I was like, this is not going to happen. But then sure enough, it did. He came over, and so we had this like night where we hung out with him, and he talked about it on talk shows. But like prior to him coming over, our account was so overdrawn that like we were completely fucked. I had to go. Luckily, I lived close to the alt weekly that I worked at the time, but I had to like go into the office at like 10 at night and take beers from the fridge. And like I found some change in the couch and went and bought chips. And like we were like so broke just to have snacks that he could like just nibble one of and not eat anymore.
And like, were you mad that he ate your snacks? You're like, you can afford so many snacks.
No, I mean, I wasn't mad about it, but it's just like, it's funny to imagine like trying to be friends with someone like that. Like, what if you went out for dinner and then he was like, all right, let's just split it in half, the bill. And you're like,
Yeah, but you ordered all this wine, Colin Hanks.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to need to find an ATM where I can overdraw.
Overdraw further.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry that I insisted that you use the Patreon money to buy Spencer's gift merchandise.
No, I want to. That's why I'm always broke, because I always go to Hot Topic and Spencer's Gifts.
Right, there you go. So it's your fault.
So, but this song, like, this song is about, like, sort of turning against the concept of the rules of punk and deciding to go their own way. But it predates Dude Ranch, not only from that split, but it was like there's a version of it from before. And I might have made a mistake earlier. That cover art I was talking about might not be for the split. It might be for this early version. But there is like a demo version of it that I want to play you.
So the National Gynecology Society is a demo joke as opposed to a split joke.
Well, it was still released on a 7-inch, but I don't know if it was the same 7-inch.
Okay.
Like there's like, I don't know. This is like fucking so awful. What am I doing with my life? But I wanted to play you the demo. Yeah, it's just, first of all, the guitar at the start is very, very sloppy. It's really funny that they released it, so I'll play you that first.
Okay.
It's like you can, I don't know if you can hear it through the headphones, but you can hear him hit two strings at once.
Yeah, it's not like, dude, just stop right away. Like you're not invested.
Like, yeah, exactly. The first 2 seconds of recording, I think you can start it again.
Like, guys, sorry, let's go again, and then that's it, and then you're good. But no,
even if you're recording to like
immortalized.
the oldest recording technology, they would have been like, you know what, you've got a better one in you.
You've wasted 3 seconds of tape. This does not matter.
So, and then the other thing that I know that you will like about this one is that there are additional harms on the demo.
Oh, I do love that.
So the Dude Ranch version is just Mark singing, but on this one, there's Tom singing some harmonies at the chorus. So I'll play you that.
Okay.
Is it too much to ask for the things to work out this time? I'm only asking for what is mine. I wanted everything. I got it now. I'm gonna throw it away. I'll throw it away, yeah.
That era of Tom's voice especially goes so well with Mark.
Yeah, it's why it's kind of shitty that on the recorded version on the actual album, it's just, it's a Mark part when they were so capable of doing really exciting interplay, as evidenced on Pathetic, absolutely in the top 5 greatest Blink-182 songs of all time.
Yeah. Well, it's also funny because now it's almost like they've learned that, because on California now it's always Matt and Mark trading off, but their voices are quite similar, especially because of how compressed and auto-tuned they are.
Totally.
But like the old Tom and the old Mark back and forth is amazing. And actually, when I first heard Dillinger 4, I thought, these two vocalists remind me of Blink-182's two vocalists.
You're like, these guys are ripping off Blink-182.
Yeah. But I also wanted to just quickly, while we're talking about this chorus, say that this chorus is, of all Blink-182 songs, the one that sounds the most like Millencolin.
It does sound like Millencolin. Yeah, I never thought about it, but 100%. Yeah, this could be like the best ever Millencolin song.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like, again, the use of minor chords and how they do it in the chorus, or just the lead, the single note lead. But this is the most, and it's funny because when I talk to our guest later, who for some reason I refuse to introduce until the end of the podcast, I don't know why.
Justin Hoffman.
I feel so much power.
Okay.
But he also mentioned that this reminded him of Dillinger 4, and I had thought that previously, and then I had talked to him about Millencolin too, and one of his first punk entry points was Punkorama 3, which you've mentioned. I mean, this is just like the quintessential 90s skate punk sound, and I don't think Blink-182 has come this close to making like something that would be in a snowboarding video until this song. Yeah,
there's nothing after this that is as gnar shredding ready as this song. Although listening back to it, I was struck how I guess the bridge kind of before it goes big again sounds an awful lot like Wendy Clear, which is for sure one of the best songs on Enema.
It is similar in that once again, these fucking geniuses, it's such a stupid, simple guitar riff, but it's something about it stays with you forever. You're
once again, these geniuses is a...
It's like, honestly,
statement.
There's something so stupid about everything they do where it's like, how like every fucking, every like grumpy dad who hates art is always like, oh, I could do that. But you didn't do that. Like when they see like modern art, they see like a drawing that's just a line. And they're like, oh, I could do that. Or like my son could do that. Who cares? But you didn't do that. And like, yeah, anyone can play these songs, but no one decided to do it until Blink did it.
Well, it is just so remarkable that a song like this, gets written by a couple of like very young people with sort of no idea of what the potential audience is for the band and for what they're doing. And it's light years. Like this just makes me think, like listening to this, I'm like, I know I said I liked Los Angeles on the pod, but it's so fucking stupid because you cannot connect these two things. Like this is not just nostalgia. I think this is like a genuinely great song and like a perfect example of this genre in this era.
Yeah,
I happen.
And then similarly, when you watch the live videos from this era, which I don't know if the audio will even come through very well, but I recommend, and I'll post some of it on our socials. But like live videos of them playing this, you see Scott Drummond, and you're like, he's incredible. He's an amazing drummer because he is actually driving the songs forward even more. Like now, Travis, especially because they play to a click track, it's so in the pocket, as drummers say.
Yeah.
It's like so perfectly whatever. But back then there was like this forward propulsion where these old live videos actually remind me of like watching Fugazi in Instrument or something, or like it reminds me of watching a band that like has something special live.
Yeah, it makes me sad a little bit just to think about you can put 5 of the like highest paid hit songwriters in a room and kind of not nail something that a couple of kids in their bedroom will always do better, whether it's like Blink or whether it's Grimes or whatever cool new thing is being made by a weirdo somewhere.
Hot Leather.
Hot Leather. Yeah.
I agree. It's like, but this is sort of this is the story of alternative culture, really. Mm-hmm. It's the ongoing history of new music, as a great man once said. So speaking of great interviewers,
great man,
I found an interview. Blink-182 did this whole segment on 120 Minutes in 1997 on MTV where they were asked about why they decided to include this song on Dude Ranch. And I realized that Blink-182 actually are often way too matter-of-fact and boring in interviews, and they give really simple, dumb answers. But I'm going to play it anyways because it's still fun to listen to. So here's them talking about why they included it.
I'm Matt Pinfield. I'm back talking with the guys from Blink-182. Now, you re-recorded a couple of tracks that you had. One off an early demo, Degenerate and Lemmings, which was on a split 7-inch.
Right.
Re-recorded for Dude Ranch. Was it because you really felt not enough people had heard them? Are they favorites of yours?
Bringing back the classics, man. That's really all it's about.
Well, a lot of people from San Diego were asking us why we didn't put Degenerate on the first record, and they liked it a lot, so we put it on the new one. And Lemmings we just thought was a cool song, so we put it on the new one also. Just bringing back the hits, really.
Yeah.
Popular demand.
It's crazy. We're really big in Lithuania, so it's like...
I don't know. They just start fucking ranting, but it's like they're like, "Why did you put it on there?" And they're like, "Oh, it's because it's good." I don't know.
I mean, perfectly sound logic. I'm with it. I'm down.
But I know we're kind of running out of time. But in that interview, they go on to talk about how, and you were talking about the production on this earlier. I don't know if you realize this, but this is pre-Jerry Finn. This album is produced by Mark Trombino.
Oh, I know
band.
that.
Yeah, and he's from Drive Like Jehu, which like they talk about a lot in this 120 Minutes thing for some reason. But I think that's like perfectly where the grid is coming from.
But it's so weird because I think right around this time, because these are all like I guess this is 97 or whatever, right?
Yeah, or is it 96? I can't remember.
So I think like it's basically this time is right when Trombino also does Clarity, which is such a dramatically different sounding album, right? Like, so yeah, Clarity came out in 99, so it's like a little bit later. And then so Dude Ranch is 97, but just 2 years later, he's doing all this like insane shit with like loop pedals and Clarity, as we've already discussed, has a place in my heart forever because I'm a soft boy. But it sounds very crisp and very clean, and there's like 30 different vocal layers in every song, and it's sort of deliberately like over the top in that sense. It's not just like pop sounding; it's actually kind of like weird and trippy. But it's like aesthetically and sonically, I mean, could not be more different than this record.
But I think it's kind of what we're saying is like, I mean, obviously Drive Like Jehu's not a hardcore band, but it's like this guy gets it, and he gets it on a level that's not just like I'm gonna make a punk record for them all. Like he gets it on like a grittier level, and I think that's why.
It's kind of a shame that he didn't continue to work with them. Like I know that like Jerry Finn's a great producer and nothing but respect, and obviously meant a lot to a lot of these bands and stuff. But like, dude, like a Trombino version of Enema would be so sick.
I'm looking through what Mark Trombino produced, and he actually recorded a Moffat's song.
What?
So if you're a Canadian, there's a nice little...
Wow, that's nice. Which Moffat song?
I lost it already. Just Another Phase.
I can't say.
I don't think I know that one.
Yeah, I know Misery, which is a monster Moffat's jam, and then Bang Bang Boom, which was on the album that they did with Bob Rock, another great Canadian.
Well, we've been talking about how we've mentioned before that we don't like All Time Low. But it looks like Trombino did their 2011 album. Maybe I'm going to go listen to that one now and see if it's called Dirty Work. If it's produced by Trombino, maybe I'll give it a chance.
Yeah, like, let me know how it turns out.
But also, I feel like, well, what do you think of the Wonder Years? That's another modern pop punk band that I've never heard, and I'm afraid to give a try.
I like kind of like one or two songs, but mostly it's like, I don't know. I don't love the voice. Like, it's just too nasal and too like literal sad boy stuff.
Right. Well, I mean, actually, never mind. He just mixed those two. I'm not looking at the right thing. So maybe that doesn't give them enough grit. But I wish that Blink would have kept working with like a punk producer instead of using like these weird guitar plugins with Feldy.
I mean, it's funny because like, Feldy a punk. Everybody was a punk. Maybe not everyone who was punk ended up being good in the end is actually what I've learned.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess this song is kind of about saying goodbye to punk.
This is it. This is them running away from Trombino into the arms of Jerry Finn, but like really metaphorically running towards, working with Feldy. And also, I mean, if we were doing a California episode today, that place is on fire as hell.
That's true. Well, good thing we're not talking about California, so we don't have to worry about it.
Nope.
That's their problem.
Not my problem, man. It's just cold as fuck here.
So that's pretty much all of the things that I wrote down about this song. There's like a couple other things, but I can save them for other episodes. But do you want to get into covers?
Yeah, man.
So let's start with the 8-bit cover.
Okay.
Weirdly, I think it's because the lyrics are so earnest, but weirdly this has really mostly only has bad acoustic covers.
I believe that, yeah.
And I decided to skip most of them. But again, it's like this. There's so much to this song that you could do so much with it. But I really was scraping the bottom of the barrel. But let's go with the 8-bit one.
Okay. Sometimes like a really simplified cover, will really reveal the intricacies of a song that I haven't otherwise enjoyed. Like last week with When You Fucked Grandpa Hitler. This, on the other hand, I didn't like it. It made me think that we were full of shit about the song being good. And it just made me realize that I'm a fucking idiot.
I kind of liked it because I think sometimes when people say that they're doing an 8-bit cover, they're lying, and they're doing it in the style of 8-bit. But that one was so oversimplified and sound like a modem that I think it was like true 8-bit.
Yeah, that's fair. That's like not
Death to False
shit.
8-bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it sounded bad, and I feel ashamed of myself.
Not down, but glad you shared.
Well, let's listen to one that I wrote down as the worst guitar cover I've ever heard.
Oh wow! Okay.
It was uploaded in 2012.
A great year for guitar covers.
Ryan Peterzak, guitarist of the Peter Pan Complex. So I think that means he does not want to grow up. In the nearly 6 years now since March 2012, this video has racked up 20 views.
Oh, so this is 21, hey?
Yeah, like how is that even possible over that much time?
This video can drink in the States now.
Every time. Okay, so I wrote it down because there's not much to say about what it looks like except it's very choppy. He's in like a dark, sad, scary basement. But I just I've never heard this inept of a cover before. And there's also like a cat going crazy in the background. And I just I can't believe it. So here we go.
Sick.
I'm going to stop it before my actual cat attacks me.
That's not real. That can't be real.
I mean, do you think that irony was this advanced in 2012?
No, that's true.
I'm just going to let you look at this guy. Like, maybe sometimes you can just feel whether or not something's I think this is real.
Oh, this man's not kidding.
Yeah, I think it's real.
Why is, like, you can't see the cat in the video. I assumed the cat was at least, like, in the foreground.
No, not at all. And yeah, so, I mean, I will say as sort of a, like, dark voyeuristic glimpse into what life was like in 2012 for someone who felt that they had a Peter Pan complex, which makes me think that he's really living in his parents' basement where they store all the shit that's in the background. He refuses to grow up, and so he has a Peter Pan complex because he just like doesn't want to face the life that he should be facing. Like I almost see some gray hairs on him. I think it's time for him to move on from this. I don't think the pop punk guitar world is going to come knocking at his parents' door and sign him up to make his dreams come true. So as all of that, I really do like this cover because it's like a existential look at what life is like for mediocre adolescent male.
Well, and it also kind of comes back to what you were saying before about how, some people approach modern art and they say, oh, it's just a toilet on the wall, or it's just a line. I could have done that. My kid could have done that. And I see that cover and I think like, I could have done that, but I didn't. And so in that sense, it feels like really adventurous outsider art. And I appreciate that.
Or it's like cinema verite, where it's like, there's no one controlling this. So
it's Dogma 95. It's like very, very
exactly
Dogma 95.
Exactly. So to sort of counter that, I feel like you might hate this, but we've talked about this compilation before with the band Dads.
Oh yeah.
And there's another like sort of new emo scrams math rock band called Invalids who did a cover on this same compilation. So I'm going to play you that now.
Okay.
So you say it isn't, but you're wrong. What's on the back of flyers? My clothes are in the dryer means nothing. Nothing is changing. Life is dead and gone. Children grew up and moved on. It's a chance to ask for the things to look at this time. I only ask for what is mine.
I loved it right up until that halftime chorus.
Really?
Why did they do that?
See, I was hoping I thought you were going to hate it.
No, I thought it was great. I mean, I'll be honest, it sounded a little crazy through Skype. So, I'm going to hear it in the podcast and regret this, but I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I thought it was so cool. Like, there's a part of me that people see that assumes I hate everything, and they're mostly right. But the secret about me is that I actually really do like a lot of like early prog, and I do like a lot of like wanky guitar stuff. I still listen to hella Hold Your Horses all the time. I love like finger tapping and all that kind of like I used to be a guitar nerd just like everyone else, and I love that shit.
Yeah.
It sounds so cool.
So why are you surprised that I like it?
Because I thought it might be, you don't like new emo stuff, and I thought that it might be like too emo revival for you.
Yeah, but to me it sounded like Between the Buried and Me or something doing a
The reason
Blink
I thought
cover.
I thought you would hate it because to me it sounds like Owls or like Kinsella Brothers. And I know that you've said in the past that you don't like them.
Yeah, I mean I still like American football though. Like I can't erase that part of myself. I just don't like, Owen or whatever. That's all.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just not going to pretend that I like Owen because I did that for many, many years in college, and I'm comfortable with myself now, and I'm okay. Can I just say I really love that you treat the cover section now. It's like going to a restaurant for a tasting menu,
Exactly,
and the chef comes out and it's like, to start with an amuse-bouche of paprika and coriander.
That is exactly what I do. I'm a chef.
Yeah, just cooking up hits, man. I love it.
Friend of the pod, Carl, is a very good cook, actually, and he always makes us food. And Sarah and my wife and I always say to him, "Thank you, my chef." And it's really so. I think you should start saying that to me when I
will
create these platters for you.
Thank you, my chef.
But yeah, I hate to say it, but I think I might have found my entry point into the emo revival right as it's ending because that was like I don't know.
No, dude, because new emo revival is like turning a corner, and now it's all good. So.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe I'm not ready for that. And I will say I still don't love the vocals. I almost wish it was like a wanky instrumental cover.
Yeah, I agree. That's the sort of nasaliness. I'm still like, come on, but it's fun. It's jammy.
Yeah. I'm probably going to listen to the whole thing. So that's that.
Okay. So Josiah, what are your final thoughts on Lemmings?
I don't know if I was like completely showing it or not earlier, but it actually is too nostalgic for me. Like the lyrics, I actually almost can't handle it. So I'm probably not going to listen to it too often because it makes me sad, but it's really good.
Do you mean you're not going to listen to the song too often, or you're not going to listen to this episode of the podcast as often as you listen to the other episodes?
No, I'm still going to listen to the episode all the time, but no, the song is like almost too much for me. It's like, it just like hits a nerve where it's the most sincere Blink-182 song to me. And I think it's like I don't know. The lyrics are really well done too. It's just a really good song.
You don't relate to "I Miss You"? That doesn't, cause you to think back on a lost love? I guess you can't talk about that because your wife actually listens to the podcast.
Yeah, I don't want to tell her. I don't want to admit that. No, but also I've never even seen Nightmare Before Christmas. Isn't that what that song is about? Sort
of. I don't know. I saw it once. I don't get the hullabaloo.
Why are you bringing up another song? Sorry, while we're trying to do final thoughts.
I know. I'm sorry. Is there anyone though? Like, because it's about the scene, but it's also about friendship, and we talked about sort of what shows it reminded you of. But does this song make you want to reach out to an old friend from the scene and remember the good times together? I guess I'm almost bridging the song into "I'm Sorry," but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, kind of. Well, yeah, it just sort of like, it just makes me think about all the people that I used to hang out with all the time that maybe I don't hang out with as much anymore, but we're still friends. Like, I don't really have anyone that I've like burnt a bridge with, but it just makes me feel old.
So I think when this episode comes out, we should each commit to messaging one of those friends. So not someone you've like fallen out with, but someone that you don't talk to enough from Punk Show era, and say, hey, I thought about you while recording my podcast. Could you listen to it and support it on Patreon?
Yeah, as long as there's some sort of like promotional element to it. I'm into that.
But I think all of us, Blink 155 massive, all the friends and the wives and the fams of the pod, when you listen to this podcast, whether it's Friday morning or a year from now, or in 5 years when Josiah and I are both long dead, reach out to your old scene friend and say, hey, for me it would be, hey, Malenko, one of my best friends forever. I don't talk to him enough. We went to all these shows together, and so that's my final thought is I'm going to take the good feelings and nostalgia of the song and send a message to someone that I probably won't then reply to their reply for like a year because I'm a dickhead.
Yeah,
like I'm not going to be a better person.
We're all way too busy to keep up with it. I mean, it's funny because you get this nostalgia where you're like, I miss hanging out with these people. I miss like we used to like stay up all night talking together. But then you like actually apply that to your own life and imagine doing that, and you're like, I don't have fucking time for that.
Yeah, no.
I gotta watch my shows.
I got one friend, and it's my wife, and that's it. Yeah. I got no room for anyone else.
Exactly.
And she doesn't let me have other friends.
That's why we do this. We're hiding away in our man caves.
Exactly. So yeah, I think that's my final thought. Are you ready to introduce? And so send your messages. Show us, screen cap your messages that you send to your old scene friends, and let's all like warm the sort of lumps of coal that used to be our hearts.
Oh, this is such an earnest episode.
It is. Well, it is. You're right. You called it. But
on that note, let me introduce our guest this week. His name is Clyde, but he is on the internet under the name CornFan420.
Yep.
We have previously talked about his discovery that Dude Ranch means come.
Yeah, this guy is like he's on another level. He's a scholar. This is like having a doctor on a podcast about medicine.
Right, exactly the same as that. He also makes music under the name Hot Leather, and I really sincerely do like his band a lot. I think it's like a little bit divisive for some people, but I think it's really good. It's like if Adam and his Package was making like Warped Tour music from 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's insane.
Through the lens of Adam and his Package.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. So he just like, we talk a little bit about that. We mostly talk about cum and energy drinks.
Okay, good. So at some point this podcast will be a little less sincere, and that's right about now?
I hope so.
Okay, good.
Okay, so we've got Clyde Webb. That's your real name, right?
Yeah.
AKA Hot Leather.
Yeah.
AKA Corn Fan
420.
420. You've got like some real like wide branding going on the web here.
Yeah, I thought about using Corn Fan 420 as like the name of my music thing, but I don't know. Hot Leather just sounds more like a music thing, you know?
Yeah, totally. I mean, well, first of all, like, is the name Corn Fan 420 ironic, or are you actually a Corn fan / a fan of 420?
So really, no one's ever asked like why I have that name, and so I think this is the first time I've ever talked about it. But so I liked Korn like as a kid, and I still like them. You know, they're like a good band.
Yeah.
But there was like a couple pages on Facebook, like I play Korn to my DMT, and like I blast Slipknot to blah blah blah, that I was like involved with, and I wanted to like have my own page. So I thought it was like a good like branding move to use like something that's similar to that. And then I just added 420 because I don't know, I just like Corn Fan 420 sounds like a good name. Like it just kind of rolls together, you know?
Yeah, totally.
I thought about using Emo Goth Chick because that's like a really good name, but I just went with Corn Fan 420.
Yeah, well, it's a sick name. It's very memorable.
Thanks.
So that said, like, I mean, I've followed your like socials for a while, and you're super funny. But I mean,
thank you.
Do you like I've noticed that you love like mall punk and like Hot Leather. One of your tags on Bandcamp is like MySpace Revival and stuff. I'm wondering like, is anything like a guilty pleasure to you, or do you like anything ironically, or do you just like all this stuff like actually, truly, sincerely?
Yeah, I just genuinely like everything. Like, there's nothing that I'm like that I like as a joke. I just like it all. Like everything that I listen to that's music is like usually good to me.
Right. So there's no like you don't like how do you feel about stuff like Ronnie Radke or shit like that?
I love it. I don't know. He has a good voice. I just like it. Like Bad Girls Club by Falling in Reverse is probably like one of the best like pop songs ever. It's like just really good.
Right. So I mean, along those lines, like, is Hot Leather your band? Is that like is it tongue in cheek, or is this like you making like sincere like emo music from your heart, or are you joking a little bit, or like where do you draw the line?
I don't know. So it's like very sincere. Like everything that I write is really like exact, like how I feel, or a lot of it is like phrases that come into my head that I'll just repeat in my head over and over until I like write them down or whatever. And a lot of tweets that I do too are also like just phrases that come in my head and I just like repeat over and over.
Yeah.
And so, but also I'm like really into this band called That Dog.
Right.
And all the songs that she writes are just like snapshots of her day, like what she did.
Yeah.
So I like to do stuff like that, like the Sloppy Top song. Like I came home from work and it was like the first really hot day, and I just like drank like some Fresca and I took a shower, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like literally like those are the lyrics in the song.
Right.
But like everything that I do is like really sincere about it. I just try to write like really like the most catchy music that I possibly can, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm really into like music that's just really catchy.
Yeah.
Like I want something that's just like you can just like listen to and just kind of like jam out, you know, and you're not really like paying attention to like what's going on. You're just like feeling good listening to it.
Right. But there's like some serious darkness to your music too.
Oh yeah, totally. Like there's a lot of stuff about like depression and stuff, but
yeah.
That's like real things that I experienced, but probably the most depressing song. So I used to make really like depressing music when I was like from the time I was like 16 until I started this Hot Leather thing.
Right.
I used to make like really depressing music. And so I got tired of like that mood, and I wanted to have like a more like upbeat mood. And so the song that's the like that Sad Sack, like my friend wrote that song and he wrote it and sent it to me. and I told him like I want to use it, and he kept saying that he wanted to like start a band and do that song, and I kept like listening to it all the time and like telling him how good it was, and then finally he like let me use it, but I was still like kind of like concerned if I really wanted to use it as a Hot Leather song because it doesn't really match like really like upbeat mood.
Right.
But I kind of like how the music is like really poppy and the lyrics are like really dark, so it's like a contrast between the two.
Yeah, totally.
Kind of how my album covers like Total Health, and then directly under it it's like Discount Cigarettes like selling Kratom and everything. So it's like two contrasts like working together as one, you know?
Yeah, totally. That's
why I like that song.
Rad. Yeah, no, I love your album. I've been showing everyone.
Thanks.
But so is there like a good punk scene? You're from Idaho. Is that where you're born and raised? And is there like a good punk scene there? How did you even learn about like alternative music or punk music?
So I was born in Portland, Oregon, and my parents moved to Ontario, Oregon when I was like 7 or 8, and it's like 45 minutes away from Boise, Idaho. So I just tell everyone that I'm from like Boise, Idaho, because it's easier to say that because it's like a bigger city than like a town of like 10,000 people. Yeah. But punk music, I've been into it like my entire life probably because my parents, they just listened to like alternative rock when I was a kid and like heavy metal and stuff. And then one of the first CDs I ever got was Punk-O-Rama 3.
Oh, sick.
And so I listened to that like all the time. I think that was like my first like real like introduction to punk music. And so that came out in like maybe 1998 or 1999. So I was like 6 years old.
I'm trying to remember which one is Punk-O-Rama 3. I think that might have been my one too, or maybe it was. Which one has the NoFX song about like getting burned on a fire?
We threw gasoline into the fire. Now we have Sums for Legs, No Eyebrows. It's that one.
Is that the same one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was like one of the first CDs I ever got too. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that one's so good. That whole CD is so good.
Yeah, it's
like,
amazing.
There's one song on there called Telepath Boy by Zeke, and that's when I realized that like songs don't have to be like super long. You can just make like 20-second songs, and it's still like really good. Like you can say as much as you need to say, and then that's it. You don't really need to like add like a bunch of like bullshit, you know?
Yeah, totally. That's so sick. Yeah, that's like definitely an early CD for me. And I feel like the song that I'm about to talk to you about, Lemmings, the chorus of it kind of reminds me of like a Millencolin song from that era a little bit.
Yeah,
it has
totally.
a similar feel.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, we've talked about you on our podcast a bunch before because it's on your Instagram page that we first saw somebody talk about that Dude Ranch means jizz. Which is like fucking amazing. It's like an amazing discovery. Like, did that just like come to you one day?
Yeah, it came to me. Came on me. I don't know. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I don't even know how it happened. I was just like thinking like about it. And because I just started like thinking like Cum is Ranch. And then I started like thinking like, wait, like Blink-182 has an album called Dude Ranch. And so I always just kind of took it as like, you know, like a dude ranch where like city slickers go in, whatever, you know, what it, like the actual meaning. And then I started thinking like a lot of their stuff is like really like take off your pants and jacket and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, like puns.
And so I started thinking like, wait, like this is probably just like Cum, like Dude Ranch. And I was like, damn, this is like, I don't know. I want to know if it's like canon. I want to like tweet at him, or I think Mark Hoppus lives in LA, so I think it'd be sick to like stalk him until I find him and like ask him.
Because you're in LA right now for like you played Emo Night Day.
Yeah.
So how long are you going to stay in LA for?
I'm here until I leave on the 14th.
So there's lots of time for you to hunt down Mark.
Yeah.
I mean, we always bug him on Twitter and ask him questions, and like all of the people who follow our podcast have been like asking him on Twitter if it's come, and he won't answer.
Does he ever say anything?
No, he won't answer. I feel like he might be too like vanilla now to really get into that dirty of a joke. But I think you're totally right. Like Enema of the State. Or
yeah, definitely.
Take Off Your Pants and Jacket like took me like probably 10 years to get the joke. I was like too dumb for it.
That's so good.
But yeah, I think Dude Ranch is like the perfect sort of subtle. It's like there's that movie They Came Together by David Wayne. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's like a romantic comedy. They came together, like
Yeah.
It's totally like a subtle
so
thing.
good.
Oh, it's so good. But yeah, I think you must be right, because why else would they have done a cowboy themed album?
Yeah. I need to. I'm pretty sure there's probably someone that I know that knows him also, and I can like find out.
Yeah, like if you find out, can you let me know, and like you can come on the pod again and confirm?
Yeah,
do like a cum check.
I wanted it to be like so true, so bad. It's like the best thing.
But also, if it's not, even if it's not true, like they've created a world where it is true, no matter what. Like even if they don't, their art has like taken on a life of its own.
Yeah.
So the song, what's your entry point with Blink, and what's your favorite Blink?
So the first thing that I ever heard was like probably All the Small Things. Like just from watching MTV, because I used to watch MTV a lot when I was a kid.
Right.
And so, like, I listened to that all the time. And then maybe when I was like 12 or 13, at Walmart, they had Cheshire Cat for whatever reason.
Whoa.
So, yeah, so I just listened to that, like, all the time. Like, every day I listened to that until, like, yeah, I just listened to it every single day. And then I never really listened to like anything after Enema of the State. Like I just listened to like Buddha, Cheshire Cat, Dude Ranch, Enema of the State, and then I just like stop and repeat and just listen to those ones again.
Yeah.
And then I started listening to like all the ones after that and realized like how good they actually are. Because they've like, I'm pretty sure they just write really good songs. Someone said that like all their songs are the same, but if you like come up with like the best song and you just repeat that over and over, like every song is going to be the best song, you know?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. What about like, how do you feel about the new lineup with Matt Skiba and everything?
I've like barely listened to that album at all, but the songs that I did hear, it's like really pretty good. I don't know. I think everything they do is just going to be good.
Yeah.
And it's better for them to like be able to be a band with a guy that's like going to be able to help them, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Than just like someone that, you know, needs to find out or tell the world about aliens, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
that's still really
cool.
important to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we need that also.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the song Lemmings? Like, I feel like it's sort of a deep cut that people forget about from Dude Ranch.
Yeah, it's like really good, but it's also like not very memorable, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like a lot of songs like that, like kind of like, it's like, I think it's like a theme in their music, like just growing apart, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the lyrics of that song sort of reminded me a little bit of Hot Leather. Like there's just like, it's like fun, but also there's a bit of like a tinge of sadness or like,
yeah, definitely
melancholy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely, it's weird how they've been writing songs about like falling apart or breaking up or ending friendships like since that long ago. And they're still going.
They're like just really banking on one emotion a lot of the time, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Which is still like a very relatable thing. Like love. Like they have like a lot of love songs too. But like love songs, but also like heartbreak, you know?
Yeah.
Heartbreak even in just like friendships, not even like relationships, like romantic, you know? And even heartbreak in like heartbreak with your parents, like getting caught drinking, you know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's
I think there's like
relatable.
2 songs like that. Yeah,
totally. So I don't know if you have anything else you thought that came to you while you're listening to that song or not.
For some reason, it reminded me of like this Dillinger 4 song about like Gainesville, where he's like, when I think about it, I miss my friends. Like, I really like stuff that's about like missing your friends. And then, wow, I just realized that like the Hot Leather album was like, do you remember your friends? So it's like really weird how like a lot of their stuff has had such an impact on me, like thinking about that.
Yeah, like you maybe don't even realize how much.
Yeah. Wow.
That's sick. Cool. Well, I'm going to let you go pretty soon here, but I also wanted to bring up something I love that you do on social media, or you did for a while, was you were like eating pictures of people to raise money or something.
Yeah. So I have a friend on Instagram. His name is Versace Tamagotchi. And I had like some video that went viral where I'm like cheering for corn and then like booing a wheat field. And so he said that like I should print out pictures of people and that they would like probably pay me to like yell at them, you know, or like whatever. And it didn't really make that much sense to me. And so I bought a printer to because when I came out with shirt, when I did the tapes, I had to handwrite all the like the packages. And then also the post office wouldn't let me send it like media mail. So it was like way expensive.
Oh,
so I was like, yeah, so I'm like, man, I'm not going to be burned again. So I bought a printer so I could print out the shipping labels and just stick it on the package itself.
Right.
And so then I realized, like, well, I already have this printer. I could just, like, print out pictures of people. And I don't know, like, what came, like what idea I had to, like, eat them. Because it's, like, it's a weird thing to do. But it's, like, I don't know. I just did it. I just thought of it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason to do it. But there's also no reason not to do it, you know? Like, but a lot of people were, like, really concerned for my safety. Like, they thought I would, like, get really sick from, like, the ink. Or,
like, you said, I'll print for, what was it, $10?
Yeah.
For $10, I'll print out a picture of you and eat it on Instagram story. And how many people did it?
I made, like, $450.
Does that mean you... Oh, my God.
Yeah.
No, actually, my wife, her name is Sarah, she sent you an email with asking to eat her photo, but I think you were already done it or something. She wanted me to tell you she really wants you to eat her picture still, but I don't know if it's too late.
Sick. Yeah, a lot of people, like, they'll ask me again, and I'm, like, really tired of doing it, you know? Like, I don't really want to do it because it's just, like I did it, like, a couple weeks ago, so now it's, like the bubble burst, you know?
Yeah.
So whenever someone asks me to do it, I'm like, I give them, like, some outrageous price, like $80, you know?
Yeah. So
and then
did you, like, get sick or anything, or did you, like...
No, like, absolutely nothing happened to me at all.
Did it affect you in the bathroom at all?
It was just, like, totally fine, but, like, I think a lot of people don't realize that, like, my diet is, like, really bad. Like, I just drink, like, a lot of pop, a lot of energy drinks, like, eat Taco Bell all the time and, like, Panda Express. Like, I'm putting my body to, like, the limit. I don't think, like, paper and chemicals are, like, really gonna bother me because I'm, like Monster energy drinks, there's, like, some company that, like, was gonna bottle them, and when they put, like, the raw stuff before they add, like, water or whatever, you know, to it, it, like, melted all the machinery, so they had to, like, make new machinery just to run Monster. And so, like, I'm putting, like, that in my body, like, multiple cans of that. So
yeah,
I don't think, like, some paper and, like...
That's true. Do you think I've always wondered, like, if you eat bad enough, will you just start, like, preserving the inside of your body and then you'll live longer? Like, it's, like, almost eventually good for you?
Oh, maybe, like...
You're, like, one of those, like, dead frogs that people dissect?
Yeah, or, like, you're just, like, because you know how, like, you build new muscles by, like, ripping old muscles or whatever? Like, that's how they get bigger?
Yeah.
Or something, I don't know. So maybe, like, really pushing your body to the limit of, like, health will, like, make you more healthy, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Because if you're, like... Well, if you, like, eat boogers and you, like lick the floor and, like, do all this stuff, it, like, builds your immune system or, like, even flu shots.
That's why it's, like, if parents are, like, too protective, then their kids end up getting sick because they need some germs or whatever.
Yeah, so if you're surrounded by trash and putting, like, trash in your body, then you're probably, like, going to be more healthy than someone that's, like,
you're gonna, like,
really just taking care of them.
Yeah, you're going to become, like, a human cockroach.
Yeah.
Just, like, live forever.
Yeah, definitely.
That's pretty tight.
Like, mummify your insides with energy drinks.
It's the Corn Fan 420 way.
Yeah.
Sick. Okay, well, what do you want to, like, do you want to promote anything or tell people to check out the Hot Weather album, obviously.
Yeah. And then my friends just put out a tape called Boyfriends, and it's like these three dudes. They do stuff solo, but they got together and made, like, this super good like EP called Boyfriends. It's like Lil Aaron, Smart Death, and Lil Lotus. And like Lil Lotus has a really, really good voice. And they sample like, one of the samples is like From First to Last. And yeah, they have like a lot of good like samples. I think Lil Lotus has a song where he sampled Check Yes Juliet. So like a lot of like pop punk rap, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
They like sing too. I don't know. It's like really good. I was listening to it.
Okay.
They just barely put it out today.
Oh, tight.
What else can I plug? But yeah,
there's like
just mostly
your socials
my album
and your
Yeah.
album. But I mean, I
Yeah.
think people should follow you on Instagram. It's a funny fucking page.
Yeah, I've done less like pictures of like stuff. I don't know. I've gotten really tired of just like making memes.
Yeah.
So most of the stuff on my Instagram is just going to be like pictures of me, and then rarely like memes, you know, or like
Yeah.
I'm still always going to make like funny pictures because I've been doing it since I was like maybe like 10 years old, you know. But I think Twitter, if you're into like dumb jokes, would probably be the very best to follow me.
Okay, sick. Do you think that like is the meme economy in trouble? Like, are memes dying?
Oh, totally. I think the bubble burst, definitely.
Yeah.
Because it's like, how many like funny things can you really do, you know?
Yeah.
Like, especially in this format, it's like kind of.
How do you feel about the guy from Wolf Eyes and how he just like reposts memes?
Yeah, I don't know. So I always feel weird about like how I make memes, but I'm also a musician, you know?
Yeah.
So like a lot of people, they'll like listen to it. Like I feel like maybe because I'm like a really funny guy, you know, that they'll think that like my music is just like a joke or something, you know?
Yeah.
Or like trying to be like funny, but it's not like, I'm not like trying to be like Weird Al or anything, you know?
Right.
It's definitely like the Blink-182 thing, how they're like really funny guys. Some of their songs are like pretty funny, but they also like are serious about what they do, you know?
Yeah. Or like if you're a
Like,
funny
obviously-
person, then but you're communicating a real emotion, but it still might be a
Yeah.
little bit funny.
Yeah.
Because, you know.
Yeah, definitely. But, so I always feel kind of weird about that. Like maybe they think that it's like not as good because I'm just like a funny guy, but it's like way, way, way worse to be like a really serious band, you know, or like even like brands, how they just like kind of like find something that's like funny and then post it. So it's like worse to be like a serious band and then like post these memes for like more like social media capital, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Than opposed to just like I do this thing, but I also do this other thing, you know?
Right.
But I don't know. I think like just finding memes and then posting them without credit is like always really weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's like, it's weird to pretend to be funny, you know? Like fuck Jerry, like he's probably like, he might be a funny guy maybe, but he's not like he's just reposting stuff that other people made, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird because memes are obviously meant to be shared, but at the same time, it's like stealing someone. Like now that you're on Twitter and getting more active on there, you'll see that like if you fucking copy and paste someone's joke, that's bullshit. Like at least retweet it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also like, it's weird because on Twitter, people are like don't steal this other person's joke, you know? Tumblr, they're like, don't steal this other person's joke. Like it's really frowned upon. And like stand up, if you like steal someone's joke, it's like really like you'll be like blacklisted from doing anything.
Yeah.
But on like Instagram or Facebook or I guess like for some reason like pictures are like looked at like less than words. And so people don't feel as bad just reposting a picture than copying and pasting.
Yeah, and like the memes are so much more work too.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends, but.
Well, you can like, yeah. Well, it depends because there's like before. Sometimes I'd like think of like a sentence and then try to find a picture for it,
right,
to make it like more funny. But then also like I'll just see a picture and I'll think like like when like so there was like I saw this picture of like SpongeBob. And he was like really like dried out, and then my friend said like he really like wants to be pegged, and so I was like I thought about putting the two together, like when you haven't been pegged for like several days and it's just like a dried out like sponge, like
right.
Yeah.
That's tight. Well, I feel like we've gone way off topic, but I love it. It's perfect.
But Blink-182 is the best band, and I'm like really glad that they exist. And then Dude Ranch is like really good, and then Lemmings is definitely like a silent killer.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely. All right, cool. Well, I think everyone knows where to find you, and yeah, so thanks for stopping by. And if you do hunt down Mark and get the answer,
Oh, I swear to
let
God,
me
I'll
know.
find him.
Please
I think
let
I
me
might know
know
someone who knows him.
Okay, like we need to get the scoop, because like we're on this journey with you. Like I showed you. Speaking of memes, the guy from Alexis on Fire made a meme inspired by your jizz discovery. So it's really
I'm gonna find out.
Yeah, like dude, this is your lot in life.
Yeah, this is the only reason I like came to LA.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck you.
I should tell him that. Tell him that I flew here to find out.
Yeah, do it.
It's fucking with me, it's fucking with you. All's fair in love and war until you say it isn't